My friend, take one slow breath with me, because what I'm about to tell you is not a message from me. It is a message from the version of you who has already walked the path you are struggling on today. There is a future you, standing on the other side of every challenge you are facing, and that version of you is not whispering, not hoping, but screaming through time itself. Do not give up now. They know how close you truly are. They know how much strength you still carry. And they know that the obstacle in front of you is not a wall, it is a gate. Once you learn to move through it, everything you are seeking begins to unfold. So breathe and listen carefully. Your future self is calling you to rise. My friend, as you listen to these words, allow your breath to settle like dust falling gently onto still water. Because this moment is not about rushing forward. It is about opening a deeper space inside yourself. A space where clarity lives, and where the voice of your future self has been waiting patiently for you to slow down enough to hear it. And if you listen carefully, you will realize that the part of you that wants to give up is very small compared to the part of you that wants to grow. The part of you that knows your life was never meant to be lived in circles, repeating the same doubts again and again, but was meant to be lived like a mountain path, rising slowly, steadily, unshaken by storms. And the reason you feel resistance right now is because growth always creates friction, like a blade meeting the sharpening stone, and the mind often mistakes discomfort for failure. But in truth, discomfort is simply the body of your old self trying to hold on to its position, afraid of what discipline will reveal, afraid of what silence will uncover. And this is why mastery always begins with observation rather than reaction. Because the mind that reacts is the mind enslaved, but the mind that observes is the mind awakening. And when you observe your thoughts without obeying them, you begin to realize that doubt is not a command, fear is not a barrier, and fatigue is not a prophecy. They are only passing winds, changing shapes as you grow stronger, while the deeper essence of who you are remains unmoved. And it is from this unmoving center that your future self speaks, calling you to remember that every moment you felt like quitting was actually the doorway to a higher version of yourself, and that most people never change because they walk away from this doorway too soon, not realizing that the hardest moments are not warnings to stop, but signals that transformation is near. And when you learn to breathe through those moments with calmness, with awareness, with patience, something extraordinary begins to happen inside you. A quiet strength emerges, one that is not loud, not dramatic, not fueled by emotion, but steady like the earth beneath your feet, ancient, rooted, and reliable. And this strength allows you to keep walking even when your mind tries to negotiate with you, even when your ego tries to protect its comforts, even when your old habits try to pull you back into the familiar patterns that once felt safe, but now feel too small for who you are becoming. And you must understand this clearly. Your old self will always resist the path that leads to growth, because the ego does not want to be dissolved. It wants to survive. It wants control. But spiritual discipline requires you to rise beyond this desire, to act according to purpose rather than habit, and to make choices from stillness rather than fear. Because the more still you become, the more clearly you will see the truth that your future self is already carved inside you like a sculpture waiting for the unnecessary stone to be chipped away. And every challenge you face today is simply a chisel removing what you no longer need. And each setback is a form of shaping, each difficulty a form of refining. And every time you choose not to give up, you are aligning yourself with the life you were meant to create, not the life you inherited from your past. And if you allow yourself to feel deeply into this understanding, you will sense that the version of you that is calling from the future is not distant, not separate, not unreachable. It is already growing within you, emerging with every disciplined breath, with every intentional step, with every moment you choose inner clarity over outer chaos. And this future self is not asking you to be perfect, not asking you to rush, not asking you to fight endlessly, but simply asking you to continue, to stay awake, to stay present, to stay connected to the inner flame that has carried you through every difficulty until now. Because that flame is your true teacher, your true guide, your true companion on this path. And when you nurture this flame through discipline, through self-observation, through alignment with your purpose, it grows brighter. And in that brightness, the shadows of doubt disappear on their own, without force, without conflict, simply through illumination. And this is the nature of inner power. It does not shout, it does not demand, it simply shines. And everything that is untrue dissolves in its presence, which is why your future self keeps calling you forward, because they know that you are capable of far more than your past believes. And they know that when you look back someday, you will see that the moment you wanted to quit was the very moment the universe was preparing you to rise. And to rise not in small ways, not in temporary bursts, but in a way that reshapes your whole life from the inside out. And so I remind you now with deep sincerity that the path of growth is not achieved through pressure, but through persistence, not through pushing, but through presence, not through force, but through alignment. And if you can stay aligned with your breath, if you can stay connected to your purpose, if you can keep your awareness soft but unwavering, you will realize that you are no longer walking alone. For the person you are becoming is walking with you, guiding you, urging you forward, whispering through every challenge. Do not give up now, because everything you seek is already unfolding. Everything you desire is already forming. Everything you dream of is already being built with every disciplined step you take. And when you finally arrive, when you finally meet the version of yourself who has mastered this journey, you will realize something profound and humbling. The future you were chasing was always just your present self, awakened. My friend, if these words helped you breathe deeper, think clearer, or walk your path with greater discipline, then join us here on Daily Path to Strength. Subscribe, share your journey in the comments, and return each day for another step toward inner power, clarity, and unbreakable discipline.